I'm Kristin.
And I'm Rebecca.
This is Southern Bells and Chilling Tales.
True crime and paranormal tales.
I gotta get my coffee.
Okay.
We need a caffeinated Kristin, or we will be a boring Kristin.
See, look, that's 3 times I made it. At least it's coming out of my mouth. And
imagine having to listen to it over and over and over again, and then you realize all the little things that you say and do, and you're like, God. I say, like, all right. And I say, it's just over and over and over.
Well, I know I say like a lot, because even when I'm texting, I text the word like. And I'm always looking at my text message, and I'm like,
I know it's awful, isn't it? Because then you're automatically, how many times do I say this word and I've got to stop saying it? It's like, no, just talk. I was listening to other podcasts and they say it all the time.
Okay, well then we're not the only ones.
One of the girls, she says fuck like every 5 words. Hers doesn't bother me, but I tried to listen to this other one, and it's one thing when the word makes sense, but sometimes people, it's like they don't know how to cuss, so they just randomly throw a cuss word in.
Like that SpongeBob episode where they're like, it enhances your language.
No, I didn't see that. I hate SpongeBob.
Me too, but the boys used to love it.
The kids did too, but luckily when they liked it, it was upstairs, so I never had to watch it.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you, I had notes, but they were kind of all over the place from when I was researching everything. And I rewrote my notes this morning in a logical order, but I was also watching RuPaul's Drag Race, and it was the Rusical episode.
Oh, I love a drag queen show.
Yeah. So, because today's episode is the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum.
I'm excited.
AKA the Westin State Hospital.
Westin State Hospital.
AKA the most haunted building in America.
Yeah, they all claim to be.
This one's pretty good. This one I'm excited about. Okay, so it was built in Westin, West Virginia. That's why it's the Westin State Hospital. And it opened in 1864. So when they started building the hospital for the asylum.
So right in the middle of the Civil War, right after.
Right, exactly. So like the Civil War erupted, they actually had to stop, work on the building, and then come back to it. It's actually like a huge campus. And there's 666 acres and 13 buildings. And I don't know about you, but even if I'm scrolling through Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and it says there's 666 likes, even if I don't really like it, I'll still like it. So it says 667. Roll it over. It doesn't matter. It's not like Satan's down there like, Instagram, I'm on, or something like that. It just,
I know they tried to give me a new phone number that had 666 in it. And I was like, no, next. The next one had 666. I was like, do you not understand? I don't want a phone number with 666. I will go somewhere else.
Could it be Satan?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm weird about that stuff too.
Is that what you said? That I missed that. You said that I knew it was 600 and something, but you said 666 rooms?
Acres.
Oh, acres.
Yeah.
I was like, I know you said 13 buildings.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
I need to drink this coffee. I'm a little slow.
Drink some more. I'm going to read to you.
So they had a plan for ghosts.
No, this building was built with really good intentions.
Somebody who's not familiar with numbers.
Well, hey, numerology was not their strong point.
Obviously.
They were worried about something else. So they actually introduced the Kirkbride method.
Okay.
From Dr. Thomas Story Kirkbride, and he was actually the founder of the American Psychiatric Association.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So the Kirkbride method that was introduced gave the patients open rooms with ultimate amount of sunlight possible.
Oh, yeah.
So when they built it, there's all these staggered wings so that all the rooms have access to fresh air and sunshine. And this is actually something my son and I have discussed with having depression. Yeah. Like sometimes it feels really crappy in the house and you're like, this is the worst day ever. And you go outside and you get some sunshine and it
feels so much better.
Does feel better. That vitamin D is just kind of like, oh, it's not as bad. It doesn't solve everything, but it is helpful.
It is suggested. I know all the things I've read, and at the doctor's office, that's one of the things that you definitely need to get outside for. They say an hour, but it's like you really should just get outside. It's supposed to help with sleep issues too.
I didn't know that about the sleep. I know that about the depression. But then I run into this problem like, yes, go outside and enjoy the sunshine. And then my dermatologist is like, no sunshine.
She's like, at least 15 SPF.
Yeah, I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to be depressed or have skin cancer? Talking about the good intentions here, this building was originally designed for 250 people.
I bet it was not that.
Yes, 250 people with 2 patients to each room.
That sounds nice.
The asylum was supposed to be completely self-sustaining with a farm and a greenhouse. And the patients were given like opportunities to wander, walk the grounds, make choices.
Healthy lifestyle.
Right. But one thing that Kirkbride had determined was that mental illness was caused by sinful things from the big city. So that's why it's so far removed. But one of the things he said was that the families couldn't contact the patients and not to open anything that the patient sent to them.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it might bring back big city ideas that cause the mental illness. So.
Well, what's our deal?
Look, girl, I don't know. You have to look up some of the reasons to be admitted into an asylum. They're crazy. So, like, some of them actually were like, okay, you have depression, mental illness, something of that nature. But some of it it's hilarious. One of them was like masturbation for 30 years. Oh. And I'm like, so how old is this person? Like 30?
I know.
So, whatever. Getting kicked in the head by a horse. Oh. Overexcitement.
Oh, that would have been a problem for me as a teenager.
Yeah. Egotism.
Oh, dear God. That's a lot of people now.
Jealousy.
Okay.
And this one is my favorite, female trouble.
So pretty much a lot of men could just stick their wives in there.
Exactly. So, like I'm the queen of I'll say what I want. And so Josh would be like, well, you're going to the asylum.
Yeah.
Or he'd be like, where's my dinner? And I'd be like, are your arms broken?
Yeah.
And they'd be off to the asylum.
Yeah.
So some of it was just insane. Like basically they could say whatever they wanted. And if you didn't fit into the mold, then it was off to the asylum with you.
I mean, the original plan, that sounds kind of nice.
Well, yeah, it does. But
no control, no freedom.
Well, you have freedom to wander the grounds and freedom of choices, but you can't leave.
Yeah.
You don't have access to your family. And I always feel like how we discussed the Jack the Ripper case, especially being a woman who has children, because I have depression. So if they put me there, I just don't get to see my kids or hear from my kids.
Depressed.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it was well intended. It just, at the end of the day, it doesn't really work out.
Yeah.
Especially with having such a big, huge list of diagnoses to put you in there. Like, if they're going to put everybody in an asylum that masturbates, who's left?
Especially nowadays.
It's just...
I don't think it was as commonly...
discussed.
I just don't... I could be wrong, but I don't think that was something that a lot of religious people were like, I do this all the time. I think there was some shame attached to it, even the men.
Well, when my mom was growing up, I think it was at school, they had a class and they learned that if you masturbate, your palms will be hairy and you'll go blind. And everybody will know that you're a masturbator.
Those old wives' tales.
Yeah, and it was like a thing they actually taught these kids.
Yeah. And
my mom was like, I was terrified even to like wash too thoroughly. She's like, I didn't want to go blind.
Yeah.
So with all the masturbators put away, obviously, things go awry. So in
masturbate together.
Yeah. Yikes. In 1881, there were 750 patients.
Oh.
So remember, there
3 times as many.
Yeah. Thank you, math.
Well, it is my thing.
Yes. And then in 1950, that decade, it housed 2,400 people in the asylum.
Wow. I'm not doing that math.
Well, I'm not doing it.
Nearly 10 times as many, but...
I'll take it because I'm not doing it. So, yeah, so it became like a place where basically...
Bella.
She's upset about the overcrowding. She's like, that is ridiculous.
We're too close to this house. What'd they do?
Masturbating.
She's like, I like it all the time.
Okay, but if that was my option, was like I had to lick my own vagina, I'd be like, I will never masturbate. I'm fine.
Oh, men would be all about it. I've heard many discussions of like, if you could suck your own dick, would you?
Remember when the big thing was Marilyn Manson had ribs taken out so he could suck his own penis?
Yes.
And that was like a thing that went around for a long time.
There's no way that's true.
It's not. It's totally false, but everybody
like
believed it for a long time.
Because it's just hot gossip.
Speaking of Marilyn Manson, Charles Manson actually got put in this asylum for a little while.
Did he?
Yes.
Like before he committed all that?
No, I believe it was like after, like they were trying to like transport him or something, and he ended up staying here for a little while.
Oh, okay. That is fascinating.
Another thing that went horribly wrong is Dr. Walter Freeman. He started with experimental lobotomies.
That sounds familiar. His name.
Yeah. So he's the one he used the ice pick like instruments and inserted them above the eyes.
Oh, I think I saw a documentary on that one time or some show, so that's why it sounds familiar. Yeah. Oh, that sounds awful.
Yeah. And then once it was up inside, he'd just kind of go back and forth like a windshield wiper to remove or scramble like the whole frontal part of your brain that makes you you.
Ugh.
But he would do them sometimes without anesthesia.
Oh, God.
And he'd like line people up. It took him 4 minutes. So he'd like line up a bunch of patients, bring them in, lobotomize them, send them off to recovery, and just keep going. And he did up to like 100 a week.
Did he like hammer it in there or something?
You know, I get really grossed out about eyeball stuff. Apparently, like you got to pull your eyelid up like this, and then he'd insert it up under there to like go through the ocular cavity.
I'd been like, just kill me now.
That's what I was thinking was like, honestly, if you give me a choice between you're going to put something in my eyeball.
And scramble my brain.
If you could scramble my brain another way, but don't put it in my eyeball. Oh my gosh. Isn't that gross?
So were they different after that? I mean, I know that's supposed to make you different in certain ways, but I mean, were they like a different person?
It basically turned them into a zombie because the frontal part of your brain makes you you. So it's like your own individuality. Everything that makes you Kristin is located up there. But I guess also like your bipolar is up there too.
Yeah.
So yes, you can get rid of it, but you're basically not going to be you.
Yeah.
And so it's not worth it. But at this time, they weren't giving medication for mental illness. Like they hadn't determined, okay, so your brain's not making enough of this chemical. Let's try to produce this chemical and give it to these people. Like that's going to help with them. They're like, no, stick an ice pick up in their eyeball and just zombify them.
Well, I know something they supposedly used to do to bipolar women, but I'll wait and see if you.
No, go for it.
Well, because, you know, when you have a mania, you tend to have a heightened sexuality.
Oh, really?
And so it was like, what do they call that? Hysteria?
Yes,
you know?
Yes.
And so I can't remember if it was saying they created dildos for that reason.
Really?
Something like that. I could be totally wrong about this, but I feel like I read that a while back that was how they treated hypersexuality in women with bipolar disorder. So they would basically sexually abuse you as a treatment.
Yikes.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say like they let them use the dildos on
themselves. No, they did it on them.
Ew.
Like I say, I'll probably have to correct that next time, but
this could just be me, but if I would really like to have sex, a dildo is just not doing it.
Oh, well, it's not just, it's like an internal need. So it's more like it needs a relief more than you just want to. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. You know, it's a strong need. It's a need like, when are you getting home? You know?
I mean, I've heard you talk about mania, but I never thought about like that it might affect that part of your life. Like,
oh, dear God, it's so strong. Sometimes that's the only thing that I notice immediately. But I mean, luckily I know a lot of the signs, so I can usually catch it before it gets bad. But
I'm thinking it's like the one time that Danny's not upset that you have that bipolar. He's like, oh, here comes the mania.
Just like how you get like a dog in heat.
All right.
Or like how the boy dogs are going around humping everything.
Yeah, because they can smell the ladies in heat, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of, I can imagine if you didn't have somebody in your life, I mean, it would be kind of embarrassing looking back. I mean, a lot of the stuff is embarrassing, but you kind of just have to laugh at yourself. It makes for some funny stories.
Well, now that you say that, and we were talking earlier, like masturbation is one of the reasons why they put you in there.
Yeah.
Like it kind of
Yeah, if it's a male with
makes sense.
with bipolar disorder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you'd pretty much have to if you didn't have somebody or somewhere to relieve that.
Right.
Because it's very uncomfortable.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah. Not a fun disorder whenever it's kicking in high gear. So back to the asylum.
Okay. All right. So when I think about like these people put in this asylum and they're isolated,
Right.
they're crammed in there with like, so there's violent people in there. They would put people with Down syndrome or anything out of the norm. And so you're in there and you're already depressed and everything is like muted and you can't pull yourself out of it. You don't have medication for it. Like, that's gotta suck.
Yes. I mean, at least they have the open air and all of that. Because I think about these people that they put in like the padded rooms and there's nothing but walls or this tiny, tiny little window. I'm like, that would make me go crazier.
But with the overcrowding, they weren't able to do that because there were too many people. If you have 250 people, yeah, that'd be awesome. But when you get like 750 or 2,000, like then you don't have enough staff.
Right, because if you're supposed to have 2 to a room, and then you had 3 times as many, there would be 6 per room. But if you ended up having like 10 times as many, that's 20 per room.
Ugh.
How?
Well, they basically crammed people in, and since they were so overcrowded, the farm and the dairy that was supposed to be like the self-sustaining portion couldn't keep up. So then they started suffering from malnutrition because they didn't have enough food to feed everybody. Then they didn't have the staff who were prepared to work with people who were like violent or, they didn't understand things of that nature. So they came up with some horrible treatments or they isolated them and like locked them in cages because there were just too many people and they didn't know what they were doing.
Cages?
They locked people in cages because they didn't know what to do or they'd act out and be violent. So they'd lock them in cages. They also did something called wet therapy.
What is that?
So think of like a body wrap gone horribly wrong. So they take wet fabric and wrap the person in the wet fabric. Okay. But then they'd make them wait until the fabric dried, which would cause like a constriction of their body.
Like mummification?
Almost kind of like, obviously their face is not wrapped, but think about people, you're not able to move. If you have...
an itch?
No, I was going to say that. What is it when you don't like confined small spaces?
Claustrophobia?
Yeah, think about how scary that would be if you have any kind of claustrophobia. Because when they dried, the materials tightened. And you can't get yourself out of it. Yeah. So I guess it's like the precursor to a straitjacket is basically what it was.
Oh, yeah. I know. I always think the minute I know that I can't move my hands, this is one of the reasons I hate painting my fingernails. The minute I can't use my hands or my fingers or something, I'm like, my face itches, my head itches, I have a wedgie.
I gotta poop. Yeah.
Oh, God. And I'm going to have to wipe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway.
Right. So, yes, after everything went wrong with the lobotomies, the malnutrition, locking in cages, the wet method, the asylum closed in 1994 because an expose was done. And it's so sad because a lot of these asylums were closed because of exposés and nobody knew what was going on. Like, that's insane to me that your loved one who has a medical condition, you're just like, well, I don't know. I guess maybe because of the stigma of it, they weren't that concerned, but
Yeah, I was going to say, as far as I knew, I think they just kind of stuck somebody in there because they almost didn't like the embarrassment of it.
Yeah.
And a lot of them wouldn't even go visit them or anything.
Yeah.
Which, you're saying that they didn't want you to, but the sad part is we do have a need for those facilities. But I don't think people would qualify as much for a long-term facility stay like they used to back then. I mean, they're not just going to stick a woman in there just because she's got a mouth on her. I mean, that would be most women at this point.
My family would have a wing.
Mine too.
Yep. But with all of these atrocious acts and the sadness that went on, it has become a paranormal hotspot. So the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum has been investigated by ghost hunters. Do you ever watch that?
I've seen a couple of episodes.
I love ghost hunters.
I like them because of the way they try to debunk things. Yeah. And so when they can't debunk it, it's like, well, what is that?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's been investigated by Destination Fear.
I have not seen that.
So that's great. It's this young man named Dakota, and he used to be on Ghost Adventures.
Okay.
He I think was the cameraman. And so his sister, and then 2 friends of his go to these haunted locations. They kind of do an investigation, and then they all go sleep alone.
Ugh.
So all 4 of them are in different places sleeping alone.
I would not be sleeping.
Well, sometimes, depending on where they are, they don't really sleep versus others. But it's a really good show.
I don't really get the purpose of sleeping. I mean, you're there to investigate. I'm just going to sit up and try to talk to some ghosts all night.
It's more of like you're in that room alone.
Well, don't they keep like the EVPs on the whole time, don't they?
Sometimes they'll do like EVPs, the Oculus that the ghosts can talk through.
What's an Oculus? Is that thing that goes through the different stations? And
no, that's a ghost box.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the ghost box. And that always freaks me out. And I'm always like, I don't like the way that sounds. But the Oculus has like a word database inside of it. That the spirits can use their energy to pull different words out.
So it's like word.
Exactly.
Like that's that we had a toy like that.
Yeah, it was see and say.
Yes.
Yeah, kind of like a paranormal see and say.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's a good show. I like them because
I'll have to check it out.
it's like
Destination what?
Fear.
Destination Fear.
Because it's like super honest reactions. Ghost Adventures, of course, investigated it. They did a Halloween special one year. Used to love them.
They were so good in the beginning because it was, as he said, raw.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, and Aaron, when he would get freaked out.
Yes.
That was the best.
When the boys have a bad idea, they'll come up to me and they'll put their arm around me. They'll be like, Aaron, I have an idea. So, yeah.
That's funny. My favorite is Ryan and Shane because Shane is a complete skeptic and he's just like, it's an empty room. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Demons, it's me.
Yes. Oh,
it's
the
your boy.
Goatman Bridge is the best.
Yeah.
This is my bridge now.
The boys had me watch that and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, this man is going to die in his sleep. But anyway, okay. So there's lots of different paranormal things that happen at Trans-Allegheny. And I have written some of them down. And then kind of the very last story is probably the most notorious, the most well-known one.
Okay.
But it's really sad. So it makes me sad to have to tell it. But some of the things that have been experienced here, the owner's daughter experienced 40 doors slamming all at one time.
What?
Yeah. So remember
I will never go back.
Well, remember how huge this building is, and there's wings extending all over the place, and you're just standing in there, and 40 doors just like bam.
Wow.
So you would never go back in there?
No.
Not even with somebody?
Nope. 40 doors slamming at once?
Yeah.
That's powerful. They can slam me. No.
Well, also in the stretcher room, tour guides have been pulled backwards.
No.
So their clothes get tugged on and pull them backwards to the floor.
All right, I'm gonna go with you like we were talking about last night. But if that happens, I'm running out in the middle of the night. I will jump out those windows.
Like, thank goodness for these windows.
She broke her arm, but she's safe.
Yeah. But we were in the asylum when it happened. So there's a Ward T where they feel vibrations in the floor. There's loud bangs and knocking. Which I feel like loud bangs and knocking could be a variety of things. I would have to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there are sometimes like, oh shit, what was that?
Right.
Or like, oh, stuff is settling because this thing was made in the 1800s.
Yeah, that stuff I can handle.
The isolation chambers, here the spirits scratch, bite, and bruise visitors.
Bite?
Yes.
No.
So,
see, that's what I was talking about when we were talking about this. I can't see you because I want to bite you back. That's some bullshit. Don't bite me.
Well, yeah,
I'm
but
not a fucking toddler.
Use your words.
I tried. I got too close.
Yeah. Sometimes you'll see people and they'll bring holy water with them, or
I don't want to insinuate that doesn't work or that's not anything, but I don't get that whole thing.
That somebody prayed over it and made it holy.
Yeah.
I feel like any believer could make regular water holy water.
Yeah.
Which, if I have the Spirit of Christ inside of me and I can cast out demons and rebuke spirits and speak to God through prayer,
Yeah.
you're telling me I can't pray over this water and make it holy?
I just don't see are you throwing the water on the ghosts?
You'd sprinkle it because it's
in the room or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I just picture the movies where you sprinkle it, and it's usually like a mock movie, like a mocking movie, where they're like.
Well, some people say that tar water also does it. Like if you mark the walls and the entrances, like the doors and the windows with tar water.
What is tar water?
I don't know. Let's look it up. I've seen it on Dead Files.
I've seen it.
Amy Allen. Love that show. But she'll give them tar water sometimes, but I assumed it was water with tar in it.
What is tar
If
water?
it says water with tar in it, I'm not going to be able to take it.
Tar water was a medieval medicine consisting of pine tar and water.
Damn, I'm good.
It is used both as a tonic and as a substitute to get rid of strong spirits.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if you can slam 40 doors, that is a strong spirit.
So I would be using holy water and not tar water.
No, we're bringing tar water.
We're just bringing everything.
We'll bring it all.
Okay.
Crucifixes, everything. I'm going to have a bag. Well, I'm going to do like Ryan and have a water gun with it. That was genius.
Squirt, 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 squirt. Yeah.
I think that is the best thing ever.
Well, have you ever seen The Lost Boys, which happens to be a vampire movie?
No. And I've been trying to get Danny to watch it a couple of nights, and he always, because I'll give him options.
Yeah.
And he always picks something else.
Okay. Lost Boys is a wonderful movie.
Mm-hmm.
Noticing a trend here that I like vampire things.
Yes.
So the two Corys, Corey Haim, Corey Feldman, and then the other frog brother, bless his heart, I don't remember what his name is.
Frog brother? Is their last name?
Yeah, you gotta watch it.
Okay.
So they are getting ready to kill all the vampires, and they actually fill up their water guns with holy water. That's like the first time I'd ever seen that, and that was in the 80s.
Oh, okay. So you probably got it from there. That's genius.
Yeah. It's awesome. You have to watch that movie.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Moving on.
Then I'll report back to you.
Okay. Don't forget. So you have like a whole bunch of books to read and movies to watch.
Oh, God. Homework?
Yes.
This is already homework.
All right. So in Ward F and Ward T, there are reported shadow figures and EVPs, or electronic voice phenomena, of cuss words and people telling them to get out.
My mom will be like, no, watch your mouth.
Miss Janice will be like, not today, ghosts.
She's already said something about my mouth on here.
Well, we
Sorry,
love you, Miss
Mom.
Janice.
Sorry, Mom.
So one of the more prominent ghosts is Lily.
Oh.
It's a little girl.
Oh, that creeps me out.
So there is documentation that a child named Lily lived at the asylum and was raised by the staff.
Oh.
So there's conflicting stories about how she got there. Some people say that her mother got put in the asylum and she was pregnant. Okay. So Lily was born there and then raised there. Some people say that the mom was brutally raped during the Civil War.
Oh. And
that Lily was a product of those rapes. But nobody really knows. All they know is that she was actually there. She was raised by staff and she died of pneumonia. So
there is no story that she was the one that was a little cray-cray?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. But it is interesting that with those lobotomies, children at the age of 4 were given lobotomies.
What?
Yeah.
4?
4.
What was wrong with them that they thought they needed a lobotomy?
Well, I was thinking, how children sometimes have tantrums, or children are strong-willed, and their parent would be like, well, off to the asylum for a lobotomy.
Wyatt wouldn't be getting a lobotomy.
So if your child had anxiety and they're 4 years old, you can volunteer them for a lobotomy. This is crazy.
Volunteer?
Yeah.
As a parent?
Well, if
that's just lazy.
But, okay, great. But, I understand out of control children. I work with 3-year-olds. There are some behaviors that you really do need assistance with. Like they need support.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine looking at a 3 or a 4-year-old and being like, you know what, I just can't handle you. So I'm going to send you to the asylum and they can do what they want to with you.
Like I don't shove something up your eye.
Yeah. Yuck. So with Lily, she is seen on the first floor of the asylum. She has been seen as a full apparition. So, like, you're walking around and you see a little girl and you go and you're like, hey, who's that little girl? And they're like, no, there's no little girl here.
No.
But not even knowing that she was just a child?
No. Why is there a child there?
Because she died of pneumonia.
Why is she there?
Because she was raised. No, she was.
Well, you've heard that where they say child ghosts. A lot of times they think they're demons.
Well, demons can pose as child ghosts.
Right?
Yes.
Lily's a demon.
No. There's documentation that she was there and she was raised by the staff. So just think about it. Like, if you never really had a mom or a dad and all these staff people raised you and this was the only home you ever knew.
Yeah. You'd stay there.
Yeah. And she apparently bounces balls, plays music, and there's lots of laughter heard with Lily. So she's not like
she's a happy ghost.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, if you had to meet a ghost out of the two other ones I'm about to tell you, I would pick her.
I don't care if she brings me $1 million. I don't want to see her.
Oh,
you'd go give her a hug.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I'm that person. I would not go up to these next two.
Okay. Let's hear it.
So the next one is known as Slewfoot.
Slewfoot. Slewfoot is not here.
Damn right he's not.
That's the other podcast dog.
You ready, Bella? All right. So yes, Slewfoot. I don't know where they got this name from. When I was growing up, I don't know if your mama ever did this, but when we would go to the beach, we weren't allowed to get in the water. We were only allowed to play in the sloughs.
What is a slough?
Okay, so you know.
Oh, is that like where there's the water in between the sand dune?
Kind of, yeah. So like when the tide comes in and the tide is high, obviously I said tide is in. Anyway, and then it goes back out, you know, and those little pools that are left in the sand, those are sloughs.
Okay, no, I was allowed to get in the water.
Oh, my mom couldn't swim.
Oh.
So we weren't allowed to get in the water.
Oh no, we're good swimmers. I learned how to swim when I was 3, like a little fish, diving off the diving boards.
The only reason I learned how to swim without swimmies is because my Mima promised she would buy me a purple bike.
Oh.
And I was like, hell yeah, for a bike I will. Okay, so anyway, Slewfoot was a violent patient who used to murder others in the bathrooms at the asylum.
Murdered them?
Murdered them.
Okay.
So, yes, he would murder people in the bathroom. So, not necessarily patients. Could have been other staff or patients. He would murder them in the bathroom at the asylum.
I wonder why, like, just the bathroom? Just because it's private in there?
Probably because that's some place that they could go. But remember, like, how overcrowded it is, too.
Yeah.
So, like, there's not enough staff to follow the patients everywhere. But I'm sure the bathrooms were the least monitored area. So, in the bathroom with Slewfoot, you'll hear clanging pipes, doors and windows slam shut, and there are loud bursts of maniacal laughter.
No. There's fear in bathrooms. It's probably because of Bloody Mary.
Okay.
So I probably would just pee outside.
I don't know, like, honestly, the clanging pipes, the doors and the windows slamming wouldn't scare me as much as the loud bursts of laughter. Yes. Like, that would be where I was kind of looking at, I don't know if I want to be in here or not.
Like, what's so damn funny?
Your name is Slewfoot, you asshole. Yeah. So the final story of the paranormal at Trans-Allegheny that I have for you.
Okay, I'm ready.
Is the bedpost murder.
Okay.
That happened in Ward F, which was the violent men's ward. And this happened in 1987.
Oh.
Yeah, so we were alive when this happened. There was a patient named Dean who had a childlike mind, but he would sometimes have violent outbursts. Most of the time, he wanted to just color. He was mute. Like, he really was, child-minded. Yeah. So
I like to color.
Hey, I like to color too. That's why I work at a preschool. So on this day in 1987, he had a violent outburst, and he was taken to the violent men's ward, Ward F, and placed in a room with 2 extremely violent patients.
Okay, so they put them together. That makes no sense. I mean, I know they don't have space, but come on.
Yeah. So these 2 violent individuals decided to take a sheet off of the bed and string him up. They looped the bed sheet over something in the room, would string him up, let him hang there, couldn't breathe. And then when he really started to look like he wasn't going to make it, put him down and let him catch his breath again.
Oh, God.
And
So
then
they
do it
tortured
again.
him.
Yeah, again and again. So at some point they decided that Dean was not a candidate to live the rest of his life, I guess. One of them held him down, and the other violent individual took the bed and put the metal post on the side of his head and jumped on top of the bed until they killed him.
Oh my God. Oh. You know, it's one thing, to be honest, even a serial killer seems less sadistic than that kind of stuff. Because that's like bullying at its worst, especially when it's multiple people, just like you're nothing. And I mean, I know serial killers do that too, but I don't know, it just feels more cruel than you have like sociopath kind of mentality where you just literally do not feel anything. You can't, and it's like you're almost doing this for your own impulses.
Right.
Where these, it's like they're purposefully torturing somebody, and then I don't know, it's just like they're worthless.
Well, and my thing is like he's mute. So you didn't kill him because you thought he was going to tell on you. I mean, I guess he could have drawn a picture.
And why not just hang him?
Yeah.
I mean, that's bad too, but God, how painful.
So in this area, there is a black figure that has been known to wander the area in Ward F, but they don't think it's Dean. They think it's one of the violent individuals because he actually died. And after the violent individual died is when they started seeing the black figure.
Okay.
There are investigators who have made contact with Dean, but he seems to be scared of this black figure. So when he uses the Oculus, yes or no with flashlights or anything like that, he seems to be scared of this black figure. So what they're thinking is that Dean is still there. That was his safe place before he was killed. I mean, bless his heart. But that the violent murderer, when they passed away, came back because that was where their most atrocious crime was. And then, you know, I always just think poor Dean was scared in life, and now he's scared in the afterlife.
I don't know. I just wonder if that's the case, why do some people get stuck and others don't? I know they say unfinished business, but what unfinished business is that? I mean, to somehow torture the other dude, but I mean, he's the one that's scared, so.
Well, there's different types of hauntings. Like there's residual haunting, which is just kind of like the memory that replays, or the intelligent haunting, which would be like, you know, you're in this space.
I don't know. I don't get why some deaths result in that and some don't. Because I mean, I know there's a lot of tragic deaths, and not all of them lead to a haunting. You know what I mean? I just wonder if that's the case, what causes that? You know?
And I think it's different for every place and every person. Like sometimes it's the land itself that is scarred with trauma.
Yeah.
So
like a lot of it.
Yeah. So like nothing's gonna do well there. Because they say if you walk onto the battlefield at Gettysburg, like it just feels heavy. Like that land is scarred with the trauma of that battle and the death that took place there.
I mean, stuff like that kind of makes sense to me because don't they say like energy is neither created nor destroyed?
Yes.
You know, maybe it somehow stays in that area. So maybe that's what we're feeling. And the residual ones, you know, I'm one of those that has that theory of, is time not linear? Are we kind of crossing paths with a different time? But the intelligent ones, you know, well, I mean, that could be it too, but.
Because I feel like I fully know that when my mother passes away, she's going to be visiting me. Like, I think that would be her choice because she loves me, and she'd visit my brother and my sister because she loves us and wants to just keep an eye on us. I don't think she would stay there because I know she's going to heaven, but I think she's fully going to be like, hey, Jesus, I'll be right back. I'm just going to go check on the kids, you know?
Day pass.
Yeah. So I think sometimes, like, if you really love somebody or you love something, that you can maybe make that choice. But then I think sometimes, you know, if you die a horrible, violent death, because they say sometimes the ghosts don't know they're dead.
Well, maybe they have insomnia. They can't rest in peace.
Like, I need a melatonin. So, but all in all, Trans-Allegheny has some really interesting things that occur there. They do offer a haunted house when it is October.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
Like a haunted house you can walk through. Paranormal tours. And also history tours. Strangely enough, when I was looking this up, they also have like a giant Easter egg hunt on their grounds. And I was like, so like murderous patients and the Easter Bunny. So anyway.
I'm trying to picture this and how they could make it unique.
Because there's like so much acreage there, I'm sure it would be an amazing Easter egg hunt.
I mean, I would like the Easter egg hunt inside.
Yeah,
That
but
would
not
be
for
fun.
children. For
And then
children, they
like
were
an
like, oh
adult
my God.
Easter egg hunt.
Yeah. Well, on that token, they do offer private ghost tours. You can stay overnight from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m., but you have to have a minimum of 10 people. That's what I was telling you yesterday.
Well, Danny's in. Haley would. She would be into it.
So we have you, Danny, Haley, me, Brantley. Josh said he had to work.
I have to work that day.
Yeah. Jackson.
No matter what day it is, I have to work that day.
Yeah. Jackson would not go. Jackson does not like ghosts or anything scary. We could take my mom, but again, she can't see in the dark. So.
Well, like I said, night vision.
Yeah. So apparently we have 3 more spots. So if you're a listener and you'd like to go to the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum,
let us know.
Let us know.
You have to pass a background check, though. I'm not trying to get murdered.
I think the people listening to our podcast right now are people we know.
Yeah.
So I think we could probably vouch for them.
I guess. Sometimes people are crazy.
I mean, we're going to the right place. If they're crazy, we're going to the lunatic asylum.
Well, I just hope they don't try to keep us.
They'd be like, these bitches are crazy. Let them go.
You're being admitted.
As soon as we walk up there, they're like, they're next.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Please
that's
sign these forms.
right. Like, do you have consent for block? Nope. So that is the story of Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum.
Yeah, that sounds crazy. I'm into going though. That sounds fun.
Just so long as 40 doors don't slam all at once and you don't see any little girl apparitions.
Nope, I'll be in the car. We are now available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Anchor, YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. Ooh. I'm awaiting approval for Google. I will let you know when that comes through.
I didn't know we were on YouTube.
We're on YouTube.
Feel so young and vibrant.
I know. Well, it's just the recording.
Well, they can imagine that I'm young and vibrant.
Well, if we ever get to a place where we have some version of a Patreon or something and we can start recorded extra.
Yeah, but I have a podcast face. So
Oh my God, you're so ridiculous.
And then we can't wear pajamas.
Why not?
Okay, pajama party with the Southern Bells. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Southern Bells and Chilling Tales. Don't forget to rate and subscribe below.
You can find us on Instagram at
Southern Bells and Chilling Tales.
You can follow us on Twitter at
SB Chilling Tales.
Check out our website at
southernbellsandchillingtales.com.
If you have a paranormal, true crime, or just plain weird story you'd like us to cover,
or you have your own personal tale,
please email us at
southernbellsandchillingtales@gmail.com. We hope you join us next time for our next chilling tale.
Thanks for listening.